All righty. I just enjoy that. I kind of need to do that these days to kind of take out my aggravation too. All right. Howdy. Welcome to the 9th meeting of the 42nd session of the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University. If you're attending the meeting virtually and need a reminder of the Zoom features used in our Senate meetings, the Zoom tip sheet can be found on our website at the top of the current agenda page. At this time, please make sure your microphone is muted. For those on Zoom, Speaker-elect Speaker-elect Klein will be monitoring the Zoom raise hands function. Secretary Tarbin is on a plane on his way back from a study abroad experience. You will be called upon, and then he'll verbally identify you, and then you can unmute your mic and ask your question. And please limit yourself to one question at a time. I know it's very tempting not to, but we want to make sure we can get everybody have a chance to ask their questions. And then we'll also be monitoring the chat, but I do encourage you to raise your hand and ask your questions. And then make sure that you're on the registration function of Zoom will be helping to track attendance. And then we do have some guests and administrators who are there. We have a number of administrators who are in the room to help answer questions as well. And then if there are visitors of those administrators, if you're online, if you want to ask questions or answer something, then please raise your hand and Speaker-elect Klein or message him and he'll acknowledge you. And then if you wish to offer a motion during today's meeting, please raise your hand at the appropriate time and ask to be recognized, or you can come to the microphone. So those of you in the room, when you come to the microphone, please make sure that you state your name and college. That helps us with the record. So we have some guest speakers today. I'm going to let them go first, and then I will follow up with my speaker comments. So first of all, we've got former Speaker Harlan here to share with us.
Well, howdy. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Speaker, gosh, I guess 2018, 2019. Hi, Katrina. So good to see you all. Good to be back with you. And I too tune in. So I try to tune in on Mondays when we have Senate meetings. So you may see me on Zoom, and I'm glad you're meeting in person again. So again, great to be here and appreciate Speaker Price allowing me a few minutes of your very busy schedule today. I just want to visit with you about something that's little known around our campus, but is a wonderful and impactful program for graduate and professional students. Again, I'm Julie Harlan. I serve as an associate dean in the Graduate and Professional School. I've been in that role about 4.5 years. I'm also a faculty member in the Department of Ag Leadership, Education, and Communications. You can see the other members of our team on the slide. Dr. Kevin Curley couldn't be with us today. He's an instructional associate professor in veterinary integrative biosciences. Ms. Sharani Sita is a program coordinator in the Graduate and Professional School. And then Dr. Radhika Varuru also supports a lot of our programming as well. So again, great to be with you as a member of the team today. So I have two goals today. One is just to provide a broad overview of our CERTL network and our CERTL at Texas A&M University programming. And the second piece is to discuss some opportunities coming up with teaching as research and help you get familiar with that so that perhaps you can support graduate and professional students or postdocs who might be interested. The CERTL mission, which CERTL stands for the Center for the Integration of Research, Teaching, and Learning. Our mission is to develop future faculty committed to implementing and advancing evidence-based teaching practices to enrich undergraduate education that is accessible to all learners. So I think most of us would probably support that mission, and that's really what CERTL is all about, is providing professional development to help folks get there. CERTL was established in 2003 as part of an NSF grant. It's currently not funded through any federal agencies, but it's supported by member institutions. There's about now over 40 member institutions, not just from the US, but also Canada, as well as Qatar. So it's continuing to grow. Content for CERTL is open to all disciplines. It originally started with STEM disciplines. It's expanded, and that programming is available to you as faculty, but also our graduate professional students and postdocs, and those are probably the two primary audiences. Our website is certl.tmu.edu if you're interested in exploring the things we have available. We have 3 certificate levels, and one of the things we love about CERTL is we're able to help folks document their skills and ability through gaining certificates that we now do digital badging on. So that's something we launched last fall. We also recognize those who are achieving certificates at our grad school awards ceremony. So a little plug for that too. That will be on Thursday, April 24th from 1 to 4 in Rudder. Folks can achieve different things at different times. They don't have to do them sequentially. They can receive more than one associate certificate. And we also connect these to our Grad Aggie certificate. So that's for our graduate and professional students. You can see our CERTL Associate, CERTL Practitioner, and CERTL Scholar level, and these increase in terms of skills gained. What I want to highlight to you today is one program out of our plethora of CERTL offerings called Teaching as Research, or TAR program. This is an opportunity to approach the scholarship of teaching and learning with the same rigor that we might apply to our research projects, our disciplinary research. So this is open to all TAMU College Station graduate students and postdoctoral scholars. It's a 1-year program. And they need to have some professional development or experiences already in teaching as a prereq for that. But our application deadline is coming up March 28th. The link to that is the text.ag/TAR fellows if you are interested in sharing that with any colleagues. Our timeline for this, so we accept applications through March 28th. We review those. Once we select those, and we're really just looking for people with some background in teaching and learning who have an interest in doing a supported TAR project. They identify a research question. If they're already in a class, so maybe they're a TA or working with a faculty member who's teaching a class, we can use that course. Or if they need to be matched to a faculty member, we can do that too. Faculty, there's a link on that TAR page for you to apply as a TAR mentor to help a student as well. So we work on our study design and get IRB approval June through August. So we work with IRB as well on that. They collect data in the fall. They analyze, draw conclusions, and write that up in spring of 26. And then they report those findings in spring of 2026. So like we had a student presenting today at Student Research Week. So they're presenting their TAR project. So lots of opportunities there. Data collection can't begin until they have IRB approval. One of the cool things for our graduate and professional students, the grad school is able to do stipends for meeting specific milestones up to a $1,000 stipend. So how cool is that they can earn some tangible rewards for doing something that will help them in their career. So also, I mentioned the TAR faculty mentor. So if you have a research question related to your teaching in your course, we can match you with a student who maybe is looking for that opportunity. So that's another option. Again, I promised Angie I would keep it short, so hopefully I've done that. Our website is certl.tmu.edu. If you're interested in all the offerings, I've linked our calendar on there. And then if you have questions for us, it's certl@tmu.edu. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions about this. Go ahead, Katrina.
Mine wasn't a question. Katrina Laporte, College of Arts and Sciences, Department of Anthropology, Presidential Professor for Teaching Excellence. I just wanted to make a statement about CERTL. In 2007, Bruce Herbert encouraged me as a graduate student on campus. I'm going to cry, sorry. He encouraged me to take part in the CERTL initiative. And I did a teaching as a research project as one of the first scholars at Texas A&M using CERTL. And we then went on and got clickers on campus, and then I poll everywhere on campus. So as a humble graduate student and now presidential professor of teaching excellence, CERTL was one of the most impactful things I ever did in my life as a graduate student. And I encourage you to get your graduate students to take part in this process because it's mind-changing and earth-changing. I did an action plan, and we implemented the action plan. And as a result, we got clickers on campus and ultimately a lot of other changes as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Unsolicited. I did not talk to her in advance. So thank you for that glowing recommendation, Katrina. Well, happy to answer any other questions. If not, feel free to reach out to our team. As I mentioned, I'm just one member of this team, but I'm thrilled to be back with you today. Thanks, Angie.
And we will have that presentation available for our people. I'm going to change a little bit. I'm going to ask Dr. Johnson to come forward first to do to follow on with that. And then we're going to turn it over to our faculty athletic representative.
Howdy. All right, here to talk to you today about Simple Syllabus. All right, what is Simple Syllabus? Simple Syllabus is a tool that makes faculty lives simpler by automating some of the processes associated with creating and deploying your syllabus. So this is a tool that has an online presence in Canvas, but you can also use it through a different portal, and it will basically take and automatically populate a lot of the things that you put on your syllabus and have to change every year for you. So it pulls all of our Compass and Banner data, it puts it into your syllabus for you, it will pull all of the minimum syllabus requirements for you, automatically populate those. You just fill in what you're doing in any particular day, delete anything that you don't use, and move forward. Two other key things. One, it's already used on campus, both in Mays and nursing. And two, it will help us with a couple different regulatory instances. So hopefully all of you are familiar with Title II, which is the federal regulation that says by April of 2026, all of our educational materials need to be accessible. And so we did some random syllabus pulls and found that not all of our syllabi are fully accessible. Simple Syllabus will ensure that they are. Hopefully you're also all familiar with House Bill 2504, which is the requirement that all of our syllabi have to be accessible from a few clicks from our homepage. That's why you have to upload your syllabus into Howdy every semester. And if you don't do it, you start getting angry emails from the associate department head. I used to send those emails. And so with Simple Syllabus, we won't have to do those types of things anymore. So it allows for customization. So whether you're at a different location and need different entities identified on the syllabus, or your college has particular things that they want to include in the syllabus, Simple Syllabus will allow us to do that. And it allows us to update easier. So right now we have the minimum syllabus requirements that Faculty Senate approves as a downloaded Word document. And we also have it as part of the Compass or the Canvas templates. However, with this, we can update those on a much more regular basis. If something changes, say in the middle of the semester, we can download that and push it out to the syllabi as necessary. So it makes all of these things, again, very simple and very easy. It has tight integration with Canvas. So once you have your syllabus, the students can have it in Canvas. Like I said before, it's easy to use, and it pulls that data from Banner. You can also track when students have accessed the syllabus. So if you can see online that 30% of your students have not even opened it, you can maybe do some in-class prompting to tell people to actually read the syllabus. So all of the data in the syllabus can also be exported out of the syllabus. So if you are, say, in a field where you have an accreditation agency and you need to pull all the learning outcomes from your class, it can do that from Simple Syllabus, put it in a CSV file, and then have those instead of you having to email them to somebody. It just generally makes things a lot easier. It makes things a lot smoother. It also has benefits for our students. It allows them to create a shopping list. So all of the required and optional materials, they can just have those go onto Amazon and figure out what they want to buy. Students, if you have to change an exam because the university was closed, the students will receive a notification that the syllabus has been updated and can, again, adjust accordingly. And the final key thing, which I've mentioned before, is it ensures that all of our syllabi are accessible, which is going to be very important moving forward. I, too, wanted to make sure I kept it short. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Oh, it goes to. Okay, no. So yeah. So in this particular case, so right now you have to upload your syllabus to Howdy. In the future, you could download it as a PDF and then upload it to Howdy. But ideally, we can use Simple Syllabus to accommodate our 2504 requirement, and that system could go away. Yes.
Did you call on me?
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Will this be mandated as part of the minimum syllabus requirements?
That's what I'm here asking.
So I think the proposal is that we were going to make it optional the first year, was we make sure all our system is in place, and then the Senate would vote to make this required for the second year. And there's some, I'm not a big required person, but there's some significant benefits to our individual faculty, particularly in making sure that we keep our syllabi with the proper compliance wording on there. And I'm going to talk about that also in just a second.
Senator Falvo had her hand up next.
Thank you very much. And it sounds like this is a really useful platform for a lot of reasons, and that there is a lot that is streamlined. So please don't misunderstand me. I'm really excited about those parts. But I have a question about data. So could you talk a little bit more about what kinds of data from syllabi can be collected and how they are stored and how they are disseminated? So I know that our syllabi are public information, and that's not really my concern. But for instance, can somebody who is interested outside the university word search and get some data on what words are used in syllabi, and what sorts of access to data are being shared, especially outside the university, and should we be concerned about that?
So right now, all of our syllabi are uploaded, and anyone with a decent computer science background can pull the entire collection of PDFs down and word search those. So it doesn't really change your ability to do that. It actually might be a little more difficult because you're not going to have a bulk storage of PDFs. You'd have to go through the system, and you can bulk download those, as far as I'm concerned, from an outside source with Simple Syllabus. So right now, if people want to do that, it's not a hard lift for them. But regardless, again, like you noted, the syllabi are public information, and if really anybody really wants to get that information, they can get it.
Dr. Babst, College of Arts and Sciences. Well, as you know, through email discussion, I'm quite excited about this option, but I do see some issues. One is that I think it'd be really helpful if you could share a demonstration video or video like that. I know that you've shared one, your office has shared one with me that demonstrates it, and I think that it's really interesting and much easier to get your head around when you see that demonstration video about how it works. One issue I do foresee, having discussed it with already some other faculty colleagues and trying to explain it to them, is it's much like the technological hurdles with moving faculty annual assessments over to what the heck is it we use? Interfolio, in that there are a lot of faculty who are maybe not as technical experts as others. And so some faculty, say younger faculty who teach programming classes like myself, might find themselves doing tech support for other faculty a lot in terms of just figuring out how to use a website with text boxes on it. And that's going to be an issue that I think maybe should be given a little bit of thought. But once you see the demonstration video, I do agree that I think the system is very easy and is great for the sake of producing documents that are more accessible.
Right. So as someone who kind of led their college's implementation of Faculty 180 in Folio, I can tell you that this is a much simpler tool to use. And you make a very good point, and we will make sure that that video is available to the Faculty Senate so that you can see it. And if you've worked with Interfolio Faculty 180 and you watch the video, I think you'll be able to note that this is a simpler program.
True, and I just note that you know, some people are still using syllabi that were created by the template when I came here in 2017, which was Excel tables within Excel tables. And so, you know, there may be some issues still in terms of working out what it is that they exactly are supposed to copy over. And to find, and of course, lots of people aren't even using Canvas still in order to find that tool.
Right.
But
And
thank
so,
you.
yes. And so I want to address both of those points. One, that's the point, right? We want to have something that has the most up-to-date information and that is providing our students with the resources in the proper way. Two, we want it to be accessible. And then again, we'll make sure that we provide support to make sure all of our faculty have the ability to use the new tool in as painless a way as possible, hopefully.
Hi, Elizabeth Robinson, College of Arts and Sciences. I love the idea. Frankly, I have never used the syllabus that's in Canvas because it's too simplistic. And my syllabus that I have spent decades developing has everything my students need, not in tables within tables, in accessible format, up to either 4 or 5 layers of headings. Every assignment, every reading assignment is listed, every due date, it's all there in detail so that my students never have to go anywhere else to find what they need. Is this tool powerful enough, or maybe will it allow me levels of detail, or am I going to be forced to take stuff out and build it into Canvas modules? And I use Canvas a lot, but I don't duplicate a syllabus function in a Canvas. It's there. So is it that detailed? Can I have all of the information I currently have on my syllabus? It has everything my students need all semester long.
So if all of that information is in rich text format,
Mhm.
then yes. If
Okay,
you're doing other things with your syllabus,
no,
then I would have to have a more detailed conversation. But if you're just talking about rich text format,
Mhm.
then yes, you can put all of that information into the syllabus.
okay, great.
Hi, I'm Sally Robinson from the College of Arts and Sciences, and I serve on the Academic Affairs Committee where we had this presentation
Yes.
a week ago, and I had a question then that I don't see that has been addressed in what you presented today. And that question has to do with whether we can have a different syllabus that will be accessible to the public and a more detailed syllabus accessible just to our students on Canvas. For example, my syllabi will always meet the minimum syllabus requirements, and that's the syllabus I will post on Howdy. But it might not be super detailed in the current political climate, and we know that people are trolling for words, and so a lot of us are anxious about putting full reading titles on our syllabus. And I just, I think that there are questions of academic freedom involved here. And I think it's really important that we understand that there are things that we do as educators with our students that might be different than things we are doing to be accountable to the state. So you didn't really address this, but I believe you said in that meeting that there was a way we could have different versions of the syllabus through simple syllabus.
What I said was you can have more detailed information in Canvas than you put on your syllabus. And your syllabus is a document that you share with your students that has to be publicly available to everyone as per state law. Now, if you want to have very detailed information about what you're doing in class on a specific day, or go into detail about the specific chapter in a book that you're reading. You can do that through Canvas modules. You can do that in your Canvas class setup. In that way, it is only accessible to your students, but your syllabus that you hand out to the students has to be the public syllabus.
What do you mean hand out to the students?
Whether you hand it out physically, post it on Howdy, post it on Canvas, the syllabus is the syllabus. There's not a richer syllabus, there's just your syllabus. If you want to supplement information that's on the syllabus, for example, I have listed topics of discussion on a day on my syllabus, then I might have a separate module on Canvas that gives greater detail about that particular topic, reading points that they have, handouts associated with that, whatever. That's part of the teaching part, but it's not the syllabus, I think is the point. So you have the syllabus, but there's not like multiple versions of the syllabus. It's that you supplement specific detailed information as part of, as we all do for our courses when we teach them. We add details to the syllabus and as part of our education process.
So basically, I can't put that material on my syllabus if I don't want.
That is,
People
if you
just-
don't want it on your syllabus, then it's not your syllabus. You get one syllabus.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about this being automated in the way that it sounds like it's going to be automated.
Well,
So,
but that's true whether we automate it or not.
Okay.
The one syllabus is just,
right, but I am the person who uploads my syllabus to Howdy. It sounds like this is going to be automated in a way.
well, so I figure out the content of my syllabus as well. And I was asked a lot of questions because I have a very specific way and details that I add in there, lots of safety things and all kinds of stuff. And it will enable me, it's just a framework for me to still put in all those things. What this does, is my understanding, is that it will put in like the classroom location, for example, and making sure that's accurate, because sometimes even faculty, when if they put the classroom location and it changes, they have an old location on their syllabus, then students will go look at that syllabus and go to the wrong place. I mean, those are the random things that happen. Today, we're going to have on our agenda that we have to change our minimum syllabus requirements, and there's because the federal requirements have changed, so we have to be compliant with those. So it enables us to make those changes as soon as they say you have to change this stuff. If that ever happens, then we can push that out and have that on our living syllabi in those requirements, if you will. It doesn't change what you put in for your course topics, but whether we use the system or not, a syllabus is still a syllabus. You only get one, and the state has very specific requirements about those. The House bill that Dr. Johnson referenced, so that's never changed. But you're always welcome to put in additional supplemental information about the information that's in the class. That's part of what we do is teaching our class.
Okay, thank you.
Did I say that correctly, Dr. Johnson?
That is correct, yes.
I have a really easy question. Katrina Laporte, College of Arts and Sciences. What is the timeline for this, Dr. Johnson? When would we expect to see the thing appear in Canvas and I can start building my wonderful syllabus?
Okay, so ideally, we could get it installed in the summer, but the templates for the summer are populated in April. I don't think we would be able to hit it for fall. So we would probably be looking at spring of 26.
Dr. Johnson, maybe you could say a bit more about how poor our compliance with Title II is right now?
Not passing.
I would say he's being very gentle. I heard a percentage like in low double digits.
Not passing. Let's
Dr. Bapst again, just one more question. So one of the functionalities in the demonstration video that Simple Syllabus showed to people in that meeting was that as you add assignments and publish them on your Canvas site, they would go on to the syllabus. And I'm curious to what extent that, like, is there a particular point where we would be able to freeze the syllabus? Because ideally, there should be a version of the syllabus that's true at the point that we have to publish a public version of it, right? So there was some curiosity there about how that exactly works with our requirement of having a public syllabus and the changes that would necessarily go on as you publish and unpublish assignments throughout the semester.
So if you want to use that functionality, ideally what you would do is you would have a class, you would design the class. It would populate in Canvas, it would populate your syllabus, and then it would be set, and then your syllabus would be set as well. Or you can go the other way. You can add the assignments in your syllabus and it would populate in Canvas. It's bidirectional, is my understanding. The point being, though, that if you don't want to do that, you can just use a static syllabus and also have the static syllabus and then populate your Canvas as well. But ideally, yes, the syllabus should be set. You won't want to be adding tests that show up on the syllabus in the middle of the semester.
I think
Yeah.
that's a conversation we need to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Because we should. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you how much work my students have to do in the class, and if I release all the assignments at the beginning of the semester, they'll freak out. So I just release the first couple of weeks, and then I release another week, and then they slowly catch your monkey. By the end of the semester, they realize how much work they've had to do.
Well, and this is a great question, along with your question, because those are the things, the framework that we need to set up as a Senate and with our
Yes.
Academic Affairs Committee to say, this is how we're going to do this. Because we do need to have a fixed one, because you're supposed to have your syllabus set by the first 5 days of the semester. And then they don't get to change unless something drastic happens, and then it basically has to go through a whole process. You can't just randomly change a test, for example. Right, no, I know. But to the point is that there are certain big, like the major grade things have to be posted, like an exam or a major report. Those are supposed to be fixed in time and on the syllabus from the very beginning, but the other activities and stuff don't have to be. So I think we need to have clarity on what needs to be fixed and what the fixed version of it is that will be in compliance with the state requirements.
And so what I will do is I will send that demonstration video that Dr. Baps was referring to the Faculty Senate office, and hopefully they can post it for us and make it available to all of you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, next we have our faculty athletic representative who is going to tell us all the fun things. He's got a lot more information about this in his presentation, but he's going to talk about the most urgent things because he's awesome like that. And I can't imagine how you keep up with all of this because it changes every 5 seconds, basically. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Howdy. Thank you for that rousing reception. I usually get that at the end of this presentation. Actually, I told Julie earlier when we were talking about that, I finished the presentation and sent it to Kelly about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. And literally I got 2 emails that changed things before I headed over here at 2:30. So what I'm going to tell you is what it is this moment. So if you go home and hear something different tonight, doesn't mean I was wrong. It just means it changed. I'll start off by saying about a year ago in late April, I went up to Washington, D.C. and appeared on a panel of the Association of Faculty Senates. And the title of the panel was, "What's going to happen to college athletics over the next 5 years?" And when it was my turn, I kind of chuckled and I said, well, you misnamed this. It should have been the next 5 months. And in all honesty, maybe it should have been the next 5 weeks. 4 weeks and a day later, they settled the case that we're going to talk about today. So actually I was right. And it's created an incredible amount of discussion and insecurity. Our coaches are just going nuts because nobody can tell them what's going to happen. And so I'm going to do my best today. I'm going to do what I do with my students. I'm going to go through this real quickly. I could take 2 hours. I'm shooting for 10 to 12 minutes, and I'm going to provide the PowerPoint to you so you'll have all this information as we go through today. So here's kind of what we're going to talk about. So first of all, you might wonder what's a faculty athletics representative. The NCAA requires every institution to have somebody from the faculty that oversees the athletic department. So this is my 9th year to do this. I've been appointed and reappointed by 3 presidents of the university. And my job is to ensure that we're doing the right things according to the NCAA and SEC bylaws to provide oversight of the athletic department, but most importantly, at least to me, is the last one, to make sure our student athletes are getting the academic and athletic experiences that they should have. So I'm going to hit some demographics first. I'm just going to highlight these because you'll have them if you want to go into more detail. But notice that our 6-year graduation rate of student athletes is higher than the university as a whole. Look at some of the majors that we have. I'm astounded that we have 40 engineering majors that are full-time student athletes on this campus. And it's amazing to me how many of them are carrying GPAs in the 3.8, 3.9, and 4.0s. So here's our spring academic achievements. Our overall GPA for the entire athletic department was 3.146. We had 84 student athletes with a 4.0 grade point. You see which teams were the highest. 374 of our approximately 600 athletes were on the athletic department honor roll with a 3.0 GPA. And our football team had a 2.80. That's the highest ever until we get to the fall, and we'll start at the bottom. Our football team GPA now is over 3 points. Everybody thinks they're a bunch of dumb jocks. They're really not. They're really pretty smart, to be real honest. And you can see some of the others. Women's tennis won a national championship. They were the highest GPA on campus. You can see our support staff, our academic people, do a tremendous job. And here's some of the things that they do. The support center had 30,000 appointments with student athletes last year. Our tutoring had 6,600 appointments last year. What about selfless service, one of our cores? We had 2,500 plus community hours. The Student Athlete Advisory Committee collected over 30,000 meals that went to the Brazos Valley Food Bank. So these are the type things that they're doing. I also have a handout that I'll send to you. It's a 2-pager. It's the report from our counseling center. They spent 3,572 hours counseling our student athletes, and every one of our student athletes has to meet with the counseling center at least once a year. I would like to remind you, I do this every time I'm here, there's something called the observer role in Canvas. It allows the academic staff to see what the student athletes are doing. They can't go in and do anything. All they can do is observe, but it helps them so they can keep track of grades that the student athlete are getting on exams and papers and things. It is off, but you can opt in. So you're not required to use it, but I encourage faculty to use it because it's really advantageous to our student athletes and our academic support center. I thought I heard somebody say something. Okay, so this goes back to the Eagle article. I got asked about this several times, and I think this was the first thing that I was asked to talk about. So on February 1st, there was an article in the Eagle about funds that went from Central Campus to the athletic department. And in fiscal year 23, it was 12 million. In 24, it was 5.8 million. I always start off with no tax money supports the athletic department. So these were loans. Our new athletic director, Trev Alberts, was brought in to get our athletic financial house in order. He's doing that. When he got here, those were here. President Welsh is aware of it. He said he felt like he needed to start him on an even keel, and that's what he's doing. So if you're concerned about those numbers, I thought it would be interesting to tell you how they intend to pay those numbers back. So first of all, during COVID, the SEC gave money to all of the SEC institutions to keep their athletic programs going. So we were paying that back at the tune of $2 million a year. We've now paid it all back. So that's $2 million that we'll have come back in. The athletic department operating budget is going to be reduced by 5 to 8%, and you'll see why that's going to happen in just a minute. The funds that come in from the college football playoff beginning next year will go up. The big hit for us, you may have read it, I think a couple of weeks ago, we signed a new multimedia contract with Playfly, I think's the name of it. And so where we were getting 18 million a year from Learfield, now we'll be getting 34 million a year from Playfly. And other events are going to help fund this, things like the soccer match, and any of you that were with me and 110,901 other people at the George Strait concert last summer. So they'll be continue doing things like that. It's important to note, most faculty don't know this, that funding is not a one-way street to the athletic department. It's also from the athletic department. So here's some things that the athletic department pays for. They pay about $750,000 every year to use the pool at the rec for the swimming and diving program. They pay $900,000 a year to use the Hildebrand Equestrian Center. There's a $5 million payment back to General Campus. And when I asked what that was for, I said, well, they said, well, it's just for general services. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's just always been that way. So I don't know what it's for, but I assume it's for things like technology and things like that. And then a lot of faculty don't understand that the athletic department pays tuition just like every other student pays tuition. So give or take somewhere between 11 and $13 million, depending on the number of in-state and out-of-state student athletes. So that's money that comes back in from the athletic department. So here's what's happening. And when I start this, I always start with a quote from Dennis Dodd from now 11 years ago in April of 2014. And here's what he said. At some point in recent years, college athletics became a Bob Dylan protest song. Minus the folk guitar and harmonica, suddenly the system wasn't totally about the games or the coaches or the standings or the championships. It was an awakening, a realization, a revolution. Perhaps even the NCAA itself will be non-existent. He was pretty prescient. We haven't gotten to the last line, but we're moving that direction, maybe. Who knows? So what's happened is the Power Four conferences, the autonomous four, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the SEC have created what's called the autonomy division. So basically, they can make their own rules. We're going to talk about the House case in just a minute. It allows student athletes to be paid for their name, image, and likeness, acronym NIL. They're allowed to earn money off campus from third parties for their NIL. And it's hopefully not going to be pay for play like it has been for the last basically 2 years. It's astounding some of the dollars that y'all have seen that college student athletes are getting paid to play. So I hope our senators in Fort Worth won't be too critical. I'm going to give you a 60-second overview of the Sherman Antitrust Act. In Europe, they'd call this competition law. It takes them an entire semester to teach this, but I'm going to do this real quickly because after people ask me what's going on, then they'll ask, well, how did that happen? So I want to flip that and talk about how it happened and then what's going on. So the Sherman Antitrust Act says every contract, combination, or conspiracy and restraint of trade among the several states is illegal. It has to do with monopolies where there's no competitor or one party basically controls everything. And it's interesting if you think about college athletics, what President Taft said in 2011 at his 1911 in his State of the Union address. The act is the expression of the effort of a freedom-loving people to preserve equality of opportunity, to maintain their future growth by preserving uncontrolled and unrestricted the enterprise of the individual, his industry, his ingenuity, his intelligence, and his independent courage. And that's what the student athletes have been seeking, is this idea that they're uncontrolled and they're unrestricted. So let's move forward and talk about how the Sherman Antitrust came about. You know, John D. Rockefeller and Leland Stanford and Carnegie and J.P. Morgan, they basically controlled vast portions of the American economy. Well, let's think about that in terms of the NCAA. And the way I describe this is you're going home today to fill up your car with gas and you get to a corner and you can buy gas at Texaco, Shell, or Stripes, whichever you want to. So the chances are you're going to go where the price is cheaper, but in all honesty, they're probably all three going to be selling it for the same price. So then we have somebody come in and buy out Shell and Stripes. So now do we have 4 competitors or do we have 2? And what's going to happen with the price? Well, they can in turn hurt Texaco. When you have somebody else come in and owns all of them, this is what Standard Oil Company was. They owned all of these businesses in a trust. So what does that have to do with college athletics? Let's take a look at the NCAA. Does that look familiar? It's virtually the same. And so this is what has started all of this with the changes in college athletics. So it started with the Alston case where Sean Alston, as named plaintiff in the class, said that the NCAA was involved in price fixing. They set the fair market value that students could earn at 0. And they said that was a contract combination or conspiracy and restraint of trade. Judge Wilkin out in California agreed with that. She entered some orders. What they were is not really consequential at this point, but ultimately it got to the U.S. Supreme Court. And surprisingly, a unanimous court, if you can imagine that, agreed that the NCAA was subject to the Sherman Act. And that's when everything started to fall apart. So the next thing we want to talk about is the House case, because this is the one that we're dealing with today. So Grant House was a swimmer at Arizona State, and he sued on behalf of all Division I college athletes. I think there's about 270,000 of them. The challenged restraint, limiting that compensation, setting the value at 0. Their lost NIL from years past, their future NIL, and their lost video game. If you remember EA Sports and you played the video sports game, well, they didn't get paid for their name, image, and likeness. That was the O'Bannon case, if you're familiar with that one. And so they alleged that this idea of setting maximum limits on what they could get was price fixing and violated the Sherman Act. So they were seeking damages, $1.4 billion. I can tell you, with what's happened over the last couple of years, with what some of these guys and gals are getting paid, the number would be a whole lot higher than 1.4 billion if they went to trial. The Sherman Act trebles damages, that's 4.2 billion, let's say, and they wanted a free market. So the case was scheduled for trial on January 25th of this year, but they reached a settlement last year, again, about 4 weeks after I was in DC. And so here's what that settlement is going to do if approved. First of all, the student athletes will get benefits from schools that were previously prohibited, and we'll talk about what the back group gets in just a second. They'll receive $2.77 billion over the next 10 years. So that's all Division I athletes that participated between 2016 and 2024. Beginning July 1st, universities will be able to share their revenues with the student athletes. So here's the specifics of the settlement agreement. We talked about the $2.77 billion. Revenue sharing given to student athletes beginning July 1st will be 22% of certain athletic department revenues. I'll go over those in just a second. Student athletes can get outside NIL deals outside the university from businesses. It has to have a business purpose, but if it does, they're entitled to get fair market value. And then finally, conferences can set roster limits, which the SEC has done, and we'll see the effect of that in just a second. And it settled a couple other cases that were very similar to the details of this case. So this is all contingent upon Judge Wilkin approving the settlement. She set a hearing for April 7th. Everyone seems to think that she will approve it. She's going to retire as soon as she gets through with this case, so she's got some incentive to approve it. But until she signs off on it, we don't know. And if she doesn't approve it, then it goes back to trial, and you're talking about those damages we talk about. Okay? So here's where that 22% comes from. The purple is corporate sponsorship. licensing, advertising. The light blue is distributions from the SEC, the NCAA, and this new media, multimedia contracts that all of the universities have. And then the top part is ticket sales. So student athletes are going to get 22% of that number averaged out over all Division I schools. So what's that going to do to Texas A&M? What are we going to do about this $22.5 million? Well, first of all, the SEC has set roster limits. So next year, our student athlete numbers will be 19% lower than this year. So we're going to go from somewhere about 600 student athletes to somewhere about 450, and that's ballpark figure. Now, some of the athletes currently on scholarship are not going to be able to be on the rosters because there's not enough roster spots for all of them. I won't go into details of which teams, but if we have a student athlete who won't have a roster spot next year, we're doing the right thing, and the athletic department is going to continue them with the same scholarship that they've had this year. So we're protecting our student athletes that choose to stay here but not participate. There will be an additional, based on these numbers, $2.5 million in athletic scholarships. There'll be fewer partial scholarships and more full scholarships. $2 million will be deducted from what we would normally get from the NCAA when they distribute things like March Madness money. And then 18 million will be, or 18.5 million, I should have put in there, I think, will be the number that will be shared with our student athletes here on campus next year and in years going forward. And by the way, it will go up years going forward by about 4% a year is what they estimate. Okay. For the past student athletes, if the settlement is approved, this is the way the money will be distributed. Football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and all other sports. Judge Wilkins says Title IX is not an issue in her court in this case, so she has not rendered any opinion on that. So what is A&M going to do? Well, we're going to have basically three pillars that we're going to focus on. The first is we're going to maintain our current number of sports, at least as long as we can, hopefully forever. Some schools are already terminating sports because they're just not going to be able to afford it. We're going to comply with Title IX, whatever that is. And we're going to expect competitive success in all of our sports. So those are the three things moving forward that the athletic department proposes to do. So it raises a lot of questions in my mind, and I'm kind of known as the guy around that throws out all these crazy ideas, but nobody has any answers for. So things that I think about is, how will Title IX apply? Well, a lot of people are saying, well, there's going to be the same number of athletes in women's sports as there is in men's sports. And my response is, well, I think there's probably a federal district judge somewhere that's going to say, but wait a minute, that money's flowing through an educational institution, so Title IX should have to apply. I don't know. I could be wrong. What about a connection to academic progress and graduation? You know, the NCAA has basically been eviscerated with the Alston suit and with this suit. Are they going to keep athletic participation and eligibility tied to academics? We certainly hope so, and the faculty athletics reps are screaming loudly for that. What about athletes as employees? There are many people that say, well, they're already doing the same thing as employees. So what about unionization? You know, we can't unionize in Texas. We can't collectively bargain. They can't go out on strike. I always say, what's the worst case scenario? We've got a game with the university 90 miles to our west, and there's 110,000 people sitting in the stands, and the players are in the dressing room right before kickoff and say, you know, if you're going to have to agree to pay us $5,000 more each, or we're not going to take the field today. So I don't know. Has the NCAA been completely eviscerated? For the most part, the answer is yes. We're hoping, though, not with regard to academic progress and graduation, because still that's what they come to college for. So hopefully courts will say, no, that does make sense. that eligibility has to be tied to some sort of academics. What about Olympic and non-revenue sports? Those are the first ones that are going to get cut in places. And I think, so Congress has not done anything yet, but they've been having conversations and they're getting more and more interested. And my comment has been, when they see what it's going to do to our Olympic sports, which is going to be disastrous, because think about gymnastics, think about swimming, think about track and field. When Title IX is not fully implemented, I think that's when Congress will wake up and say, you know, we really need to do something. So maybe will they pass some sort of NIL statute nationally and maybe give the NCAA some protection under the Sherman Act? Is this a schism between the haves and the have-nots? We've already seen that with the Autonomous Four. What's going to happen from here? I don't want to say in a public meeting. I've got some opinions about what will happen, but I guess we'll see. But even some of the Division I schools at some point are going to say, we just can't belly up to the bar. This is just too much money. We can't do it. And they're going to drop down. I'm pretty sure that will happen at places. Will the NCAA go away completely? And will college athletics become I put in there more professional enterprise, because really it kind of is right now. The good news, I always try to finish on good news. There are a significant number of student athletes who are hanging around in college because they're making more money playing today than they'd ever make when they leave and go off to the workaday world. And so they're hanging around in college athletics. So that's my presentation. That's where we are. Fire away with questions and I'll try to answer them. And by the way, that's my contact information if you want to contact me. And again, I'm going to send this whole presentation to you.
Thank you, Professor Batista. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have any questions on them?
Paul, can you say a little bit about student health and safety? So what are the requirements going to be for sports trainers and other things in the new world? If the NCAA doesn't have any impact on them.
No, the NCAA does have impact, because when you look at the core values of the new constitution of the NCAA that we voted on a couple of years ago, that's right at the top. So our mental health here is outstanding. And that's why I'm going to send you the whole thing. It's a 2-pager about our counseling office and what they're doing here on campus and what they're doing with the athletes. But our athletic department, to their credit, has been very aggressive about student mental health.
Hi.
Hi.
Katrina Laporte, College of Arts and Sciences. Thank you very much for the presentation. Very illuminating. I had no clue that any of that was going. I knew there was a name and likeness thing, but I didn't know the backstory. Yeah, the Title IX thing is very concerning. 15% for men and 5% for women doing the same sport. That doesn't seem very right. But my concern is more about the students. Will there be any kind of additional budgeting or management skills given to the students when they start to get this whack of money and, you know, so that they use it wisely? And then am I able to...
Can I
Sure.
answer that one
Sure.
first? The Mays School has put together a program that all of our student athletes go through. So they get some training. I'll tell you real honestly, because I used to and still do talk a lot to the student athletes that are probably in their last year and they're going to go make a bunch of money in athletics. And to be real honest, a lot of times I just get the glazed eye looks. So are they paying attention? I don't know. They better be, because they're supposed to be paying taxes on whatever they get.
And if I understand correctly, you are the liaison for faculty to the student athlete division. Is that correct? So if I have a comment about the emails that I receive asking for time off because of a game, is that someone that I can speak to you about that?
You certainly can.
Okay.
And what I'm going to say is read Rule 7 real closely.
Oh, absolutely. I have no problem with athletes being off. I actually have a really wonderful basketball player in my class right now, and he's amazing. But I get emails from you guys saying that they're going to have this time off and that time off. And I noticed that Christy from Disability Resources is here. When I get emails from Disability Resources, they are clearly marked DR in square brackets. When I get emails from the athletics department, it looks like it's invited me to a basketball game, and I like click it because I'm not sports oriented at all, and I click it into the delete. And then after a while, the student athlete says to me, did you get notification that I was going to be away for the next week and a half at a baseball game? I'm like, maybe. And then I look through my trash, and there it is from some random person saying NCAA basketball game, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't even know that that was a notification that a student was going to be away. So, sorry, cut a long story short, can you make the title of your messages say student athlete notification or something like that?
That's a great point, because it used to be an actual memo that came and had, we knew that it was an official notification. And these days with some of our creative people, it might be well to go back to, even if they send a PDF of the memo, it might be well to.
Sure, I get it from this random person, someone 96, and I'm like, sounds like spam to me.
I will tell you, that's an issue that we've been struggling with, because everybody tells the student athletes it is your responsibility to let your faculty member know. I tell them that every time I meet with a group of them, and they're college students, but I will pass along to the athletic department to try to come up. And if you have a suggestion on how to word it, please send it to me, and I will ask them to try to do that.
For those of you online, the suggestion was to look at disability resources as a model. And I see that Senator McGill has his hand raised. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is Clint McGill. I'm in Coles. And I'm wondering if the university gets to share on any of these NILs, because most of these athletes' fame is really more because of the school they're with. I could imagine Kentucky basketball getting more and so forth. But is there any way the school can recoup any of that?
Sorry, it's not going to happen. Unless we can convince them to make a nice donation when they sign a multi-million-dollar contract. So, and I think about this as in, the school doesn't ask me for money, I make consulting. So the answer is no, that money is the student athlete's money.
Yeah, but do you bring fame to the school? I guess maybe you do.
Of course they do. I frequently say, if we didn't have football, or if we didn't have an athletic program, people in the North wouldn't even know what Texas A&M is. It really is the front porch to the university. And I travel all over. And when I'm wearing the logo, there's no question from anybody about what the logo stands for. Is that it? Thank you. And again, if you have any issues, feel free to email me, drop me an email, give me a call. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to brag on our wonderful student athletes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. The faculty athletic representative comes to the faculty senate and presents the information on a yearly basis. So this was our annual update from them. All right, so a couple of comments. We did thank you for those of you who could join the joint meeting with the University of Texas Faculty Council. It was very enlightening. We had some great discussions there. We're all kind of in the same interesting times that we're living in. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was the Title II. People hear that and you don't realize what that all means. I've been in so many meetings and things that we need to know about. I want to make sure everybody understands it's not just your syllabus, but the syllabus has to be accessible. That's one of the reasons we're looking at simple syllabus as a means to help with that. There are a lot of syllabi that are not compliant right now. And it's not just the syllabus though. If you have anything online, and that could be your faculty pages, that could be a page that you post stuff for your class, anything like that has to have that compliance with the accessibility requirements. So the university is undergoing this huge task, and I see people in the back of the room who are the ones that are dealing with this on a daily basis. It's going to be monumental. They are working really, really hard at providing us resources and support to do this. So if, and those of you who are listening online or watching on YouTube, please make sure, ask the questions. There should be people at your college. It should be even people in your department, hopefully. But the goal is to get everybody help and to make this as painless as possible. So it's not like maybe we've learned from the fun that we have with Interfolio and other stuff, but it is a monumental undertaking. So don't think that, well, I just won't post stuff on Canvas. I'll put it on my personal webpage. It still has to be compliant. So please make sure. And if you have questions, we've got people who can answer those. Feel free to send them to me and I can get them to the proper, just send it to senate@tamu.edu and we can get the questions. We can get a list of FAQs going to help everybody. But I just am concerned that people won't get the message. So please proactively talk to your colleagues to help them prepare for this, because April 26th is in the middle of the spring semester, kind of at the end of it. That means we had to have everything kind of set up at the beginning. So just be aware, because I'm having to do this too, and it's just, you know, daunting, but they're trying to make it as helpful as possible. We have a request from Disability Resources. They have a read speaker text to speech tool that they would like people to test and work with to see how it works and if it is functional. So if you're interested in helping with that Canvas implementation test, and Dr. Orr can correct me if I said this incorrectly, but you can, we're going to share an email with all of our senators of the request to do this, and feel free to forward it to whomever, because they're looking for people to test it out and make sure it's the tool that we need to be able to do this. Also, election time is coming up. So there has been an email sent out to each of the caucus leaders to please you will either serve on the caucus, on the elections committee representing your caucus, or you will ask someone else from your caucus to serve in your stead. It needs to be someone who's not up for re-election. So we need one from each caucus. So please get that information to Kelly as soon as possible. And then also emails have gone out to senators saying if you're up for re-election, if you're appointed to fill in someone's term, you serve for a year and then you can run for the rest of that term. So if the term expired in 2007 and you're appointed this year, then you can run again for the rest of that term, because the length of the terms are 3 years. Each place has a term with it. The person floats in and out depending on whether you decide to participate or not, but we need to keep those fixed. And the idea is because it's staggered, so we don't have all of our Senate changing at the same time. So it's roughly a third changing each year. So that's why it gets very confusing, and I apologize for that. And so if you have questions, or if you're not sure, or you think you're not supposed to be up for re-election and we said you were, please contact us and we'll get it all straightened out. So I appreciate that. All right. So next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the February 10th, 2025 meeting minutes found in attachment A? All right, hearing none, then I declare the minutes approved as distributed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or concerns on the March 17th consent agenda items? I'm looking. All right. All right, hearing no questions or concerns, then I declare the March 17th consent agenda approved as presented. Now we are at unfinished business. Senator Townsend, I think you had something you were going to request. Go ahead.
Yeah, you beat me to getting my hand up. Thank you. A couple of months ago, we were asked to take MARB 608 off the consent agenda in order to have a discussion with the statistics department. That discussion has happened and everyone is pleased with the outcome, and I would like to put it back up for consideration.
Okay, so we have a motion to bring MARE 608 back off the table, or back up for consideration. So we have to vote for it to be considered, and then we can vote to approve. So we have a motion to bring it up for consideration. Do I have a second? I have a second. Like an auctioneer here. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand to have the MARE 608 be brought back up for consideration. My hands in the room. Thank you very much. All right, you may lower your hands. If you're opposed to this, let me rate you, if you're opposed to this, please raise your hand.
One. Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, then the motion passes. Now, Senator Townsend would like you to move approval of it.
Yes, I would like to move approval of MARB 608, that's Marine Biology 608, as a new course.
And I said MARE, but it's MARB, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sorry, typo there. All right, MARB 608, motion to approve. May I have a second? I have another second over here. Thank you very much. And then all in favor, please raise your hands. All right, you may lower your hands. Give everybody a chance to lower their hands. Any opposed, please raise your hands. All right, the motion passes. Thank you very much. We now
Thank
move to, thank you. We now move to committee reports. Does anyone have any questions or concerns with the core curriculum annual report found in attachment C? Hearing none, then I declare the report approved as submitted. All right, next is attachment D1, which is the minimum syllabus requirements. I want to talk about that in a moment because some people say, why do we have to change these? Why do we have to have this on our syllabus in the first place? Can we just direct to a random website? So I asked the question. I had a really good conversation with the people who work in the office that deal with this. And this helps protect us and our university as we have this information actually on our syllabi, so that we can show that we've made a good faith effort to make all of this information available to our students, both for disability resources, the pregnancy, all the other things that are on there, so that if someone were to complain to the Department of Education and they come back to us and they say, well, how did you make this available to your students? Did you just put it up on one random place and hope they found it? Then we can say, no, we actually have it on our syllabi, and every student will see this multiple times in a semester. So they answered one of the questions that came up on why we do this. And these needed to be changed because federal laws changed, and so we need to be compliant with those. So I'm calling upon Speaker-elect Klein to make the motion.
Oh, Dr. Price?
Yes.
This is Julie Cooter. Can
Yes,
I,
ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Can I say something really quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, like Professor Batista, there was a change, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not sure if it's too late to send it to you. I sent it to Kelly this morning. Let me share my screen with you. Some language that I removed to reduce the content. Christy and I talked, or Dr. Orr and I talked about this morning, and after further discussion, we decided it was too important to remove. So can you see my screen with three screens basically of a Word document?
Yes. Could
Yeah.
you
Okay.
blow up the one you're wanting to talk about? I don't think people can actually read what is being highlighted.
Yeah, so if you can focus on that, at least those 2 pages where the text is.
Okay, let me make this bigger. Okay.
People want it blown up more.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do single pages. Okay, so this screen, let me get this a little bit more down.
That's good. That makes it more legible for us.
Okay.
So is the blue the newest part that's not on the?
So this used to be in the ADA section, this in blue. And I removed it thinking the first sentence was going to be enough information. But as we talked about it, the students need to know that if they're experiencing barriers, that they need to talk to their disability resources, not just if you want to request an accommodation. And I think that the last sentence, all students are encouraged to discuss their disability-related needs with disability resources and their instructors as soon as possible, was actually a request that came out of maybe Faculty Senate. Christy, Dr. Orr, do you,
And
I think she's
can you
online
scroll up
too.
for the bottom part of that? Because we're just seeing the top part. If you can scroll up a bit so we can all see it in the room here.
this is
Feeling really short
just
here.
referring them to
Yeah,
the
please feel free
designated
to adjust
ADA
this.
context. Now, this is where it used to be. That was the sentence that it is currently in the syllabus here. And I had just taken it out to reduce content. So Dr. Orr's there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's here before.
Yeah, so this is Christy Orr from Disability Resources. The part that Julie had taken out was actually there from the last time that we reviewed this with Faculty Senate and was approved. And when I was looking this morning at the agenda, I saw it and I was like, oh, that part I don't think was supposed to be taken out. Julie had taken something that was in the undergraduate catalog that was a lot shorter. And we felt like what is there is really important because it helps students identify that they might have a disability. So we had included things like it might be attentional and I don't remember, and I cannot see that far away. But we wanted to make sure that it was there because it helps students identify. They may not know what an accommodation is or that they have a disability, but that's really an important part of the statement. And then the last time that we had looked at this, the Faculty Senate really wanted there to be something about making sure that students are timely and letting their faculty members and our office know. So that last sentence is related to that. So we really thought it was important to keep all of that information in. And really the changes that were that Julie had made related to disability resources were related to all of the different campuses that we've added, what purview they are. So do they go to our office or do they go to Kingsville? So that's the part, Julie scrolled down a little bit. That's the part that was really added, was just making it really clear who students need to go to for accommodations on all of the different offsite locations.
And all of this information is required. The Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights requires us to have notices of non-discrimination and to use any method of notification that we can. So that's why we're proposing this as Dr. Price has indicated.
So there was something that was on the syllabus before that we had approved through the Senate that was mistakenly stricken, and they're unstriking it and then adding additional information that was required by the federal government. Am I getting that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do a further discussion. We're going to do a motion to approve, and then we'll have our Faculty Senate discussion. Go ahead.
I move approval of attachment D1, CAMU minimum syllabus requirements proposed revisions.
All right. Is there any discussion? Go right ahead.
Hi, this is David Babst from the College of Arts and Sciences. I sent these changes to my faculty colleagues and I got a bunch of comments back on these changes, actually. One particular set of comments were very emotional and were very upset about those particular sentences being removed. So I will be happy to report back to my colleagues that that was all by mistake and those sentences are going right back. They were very upset about those sentences being lost. But anyway, some things that also were brought up as issues, of course, was, you know, the proliferation of this boilerplate text, and that, yes, it's great that it's all in our syllabi, but as that boilerplate gets longer and longer, that's going to become less of a defense. I think overall, even with these sentences, it's a net reduction in length, at least as far as I was looking, but it's still a problem that as you add more and more sections, it's going to decrease the ability or probability of someone to be reading these particular sections. And that's something to keep in mind. You know, I particularly note that the ADA section has a bunch of different bits, like most of that length is taken up by where to look if you're on this campus or that campus or this other campus. And it feels like that could maybe be more tailored to where you're particularly teaching. And I realize that the template is, you know, limited in terms of what sort of customization we can really offer there that someone might figure out.
I'd like to, well, I'd interject that that's one of the nice things about simple syllabus is that will help with that
Yeah,
part.
yeah, it's truly that sort of customization. But of course, that would also be like probably 2 years out that we implement that in any mandatory sense. I received some concerns. I think this might be legally required, and maybe it is, but some concerns that it was imprudent to list the Title IX coordinator by name, because then the template will have to be updated every time that position changes.
It's required by law.
Yeah, required by law. So then have we been updating the template every time that position changes?
Yes, actually.
Oh, all right then.
It just hadn't changed in a long time. But that's part of the challenge, right? That our faculty may be using old models of syllabi that they used years ago
Yeah.
and just updated the dates, and they're not.
Probably haven't changed the,
Yes,
that,
yes.
the bit of boilerplate. In fact, I think some people told me that the reason they use the pre-2020 template is because it has less boilerplate in it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Don't do that. folks.
Concerning.
Just saying,
Compliance.
don't do that. Don't do that. Please, don't do that.
Yes, the templates, they're a menu, aren't they? Anyway, I received, so some colleagues were very, very upset about the section on free speech, civil rights in Title IX, but particularly the paragraph on free speech. It refers, so in some readings, of course, it first to me seemed very benign, but some faculty members pointed out that the particular matters that they teach on and the students that they have, that as it is written, it reads like an invitation to introduce debate into the class, and that there's an expectation the professor will engage in that debate at the drop of a pin. So this could be very distracting in class, and that some people have met students that would maliciously misuse that language as it is currently written, and they strongly suggest changing it, adjusting it in some way so that there is not an expectation built in that faculty will engage in that debate for the market of ideas. Some people actually, frankly, disliked the fact that the phrase market of ideas was in there, and also questioned the grammatical use of double quotes around that phrase. Saying specifically to me, my classroom isn't a marketplace of ideas, but a dictatorship where I say what the material is. So that's one opinion that I received from my faculty colleagues. And another person felt it was just simply unnecessary to include discussion of free speech as it relates to the classroom. Saying, well, this is just assumed as part of the university environment. This is what's generally expected at any university in the United States. And that, you know, freedom of speech is of American society. Are we next going to have to include the entire Bill of Rights? But anyway, I wanted to express, you know, I wanted to speak for those who are not here, my colleagues, about what their feelings were about these particular changes to the text. Thank you.
Julie, can you address that part?
I didn't write that part. Jennifer Smith did. Let me see if she's available, just so that I could, and I'll get her updated on that comment.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sarah Beck, College of Arts and Sciences. So as a communication scholar within our discipline, we talk about dialogue, and I'm a little bit concerned about the phrase civil dialogue, because a lot of critical scholars in my discipline have talked about how civility and the phrase civil dialogue have the potential to silence marginalized voices, because what is meant by civility and civility and respectability politics have long been used to silence voices and turn civility into a weapon. So I would like to encourage us to consider what we actually mean by civil dialogue, and maybe consider rephrasing that in a way that more accurately reflects what I think most of us are trying to do in our classrooms.
Thank you. Thank you. We got hand raised online. Senator Kolosinski.
Yes, hello, Adam Kolosinski, Mays Business School. So I thank you, Dr. Price, for asking about whether we can put the boilerplate language somewhere where the students can access it. With respect, the answer that you got back didn't make any sense. no one is suggesting that you put the boilerplate language on some random website. The idea would be you put it in a website and you link to it on your syllabus. And I don't see how that makes it any less accessible to students to access it. I mean, there's someone just said, well, it's better if we have the information on the syllabus. I don't see how that's the case. I mean, if there's a link and the students can follow the link and the information is there, I don't see how it helps anybody to clutter the syllabus with a ton of boilerplate information that gets duplicated across every single class. I mean, is there a federal law that says all this stuff has to be on the syllabus? I
Well,
don't, is there? I mean,
the state law actually requires that our syllabus be posted and it has to be PDF that's locked in time and stays there. Or if it's a live link, it cannot change for 3 years. So let's say that your syllabus is your syllabus and you taught the class according to the federal laws and everything that was posted on your syllabus that's locked in time, which is why we need to have that conversation about simple syllabus. That's locked in time, and that
yes. Oh.
make sure that that information that is required by the state that's fixed in time is indeed fixed in time. Because as we see, we're changing our minimum syllabus requirements, so it's different from what will be taught in the future. But right now, I'm teaching by, and we're doing everything by the rules that exist at this time. So I feel like it protects our faculty, because they can't say, well, you did something that's against the rules, or you didn't do this, when it wasn't a requirement at the time. And our syllabus can reflect that information accurately.
Well, there's a Wayback Machine. I mean, if you have a link, you can see what the link was before. I don't think that's a good reason to put.
Well, I'm just saying that that's not what the state law says. The state law literally says it has to be a PDF, or if it is posted on the line, it cannot change for content. The content cannot change for 3 years.
Right,
So
but
it's making sure that we're compliant with the state law.
okay, but is all this boilerplate stuff about federal law in the state law?
That's all, yes, because those are all part of the requirements for our syllabus, as I understand. All the things that are on the syllabus cannot change. So if we were to change something, then by nature, our syllabus would have changed if we're just using live links. And those of us dinosaurs who don't actually post stuff would have to, hand out a paper copy, would need to have that in there too. But to be compliant with the way the state law reads, you can't change the stuff. So to a live link won't help us in that respect.
So, Angie, I'm just getting the sense here that we're less concerned about making this work and more concerned about covering our rears. That's kind of what I'm getting from this.
Well, that is kind of part of it.
But that's okay. That's
Nice. Klein is going to address that.
So maybe one way to think about this is the minimum syllabus requirements is what we approve. It has to be somewhere. Maybe we can have a conversation about whether it is on the PDF or the electric version, or there's a link. I think that is different than what language we approve that has to be made available to students. And maybe the mechanism is another question.
Yeah, okay, and I think that's an excellent point. Yeah. So and Speaker-elect Klein makes a perfect point. We're talking about what the minimum syllabus requirement is, not where it lives.
Okay. So we're not committing to necessarily forcing this boilerplate language on everybody's syllabus, because I think it's counterproductive, frankly.
Well, it will have to be on everybody's syllabus. So the question is it a link?
Yeah, a link. Yeah,
so fixed place or something else. Yeah, that's something that academic affairs can look at.
Okay,
and I can also tell you that OCR doesn't want too many clicks from the person who's supposed to be getting the information to the information. So because they feel like if you have too many steps, you're not going to go there. You're not going to review it. And from what I understand, maybe this isn't true, but I have 2 students in A&M, and the first day of school, they're always going through the syllabus. That's syllabus day. And they go through every single thing. Mom, did you know there's Title IX on there? There's ADA on there. Your name's on it. Jennifer's name's on it. So I say yes. And so it encourages me to think that our students are actually getting that information, and hopefully all of them are listening. When we send out notice of non-discrimination through the email, we get very few people opening their email, but we've got a large population here that are looking and going through these syllabi with their professors. So that's another place where I feel like we're getting to the masses.
Thank you. And to that point, as a reminder also, the state law also has requirements about the number of clicks that you have to go through. So if you go to the website and you click to the syllabus and you have to click to something else, then that could be a problem for us as well, unfortunately. I'm going to go to Senator McGill because he had his hand up first. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Adam. This stuff should be available on a link. If it's 3 years of links or whatever, it just doesn't make sense. We have the same exact wording on everything, and it's also available by just one click, and that's what students will do if they need it. So I think we need to think of letting it be either way.
Former Speaker Rice.
Dale Rice, Arts and Sciences. So this is a question initially. Is there a reason that we have to approve the minimum syllabus requirements today? And the reason I'm asking that is there seems to be a certain amount of concern with the free speech section of it. And so if there is not a requirement that it be approved today.
Julie?
There isn't from our standpoint. I was going to recommend the same thing.
Okay.
If there are questions, let's bring back Jennifer. She's at a presentation this afternoon. She's doing a presentation and was unable to attend from 4 to 5. So I can get her on the next agenda if that's okay. And
Okay.
And then she can speak to those concerns.
Let me ask the question. Dr. Johnson, do you have any other information? Yeah, please come to the microphone.
I was trying to text the person who does the templates that the minimum syllabus requirement goes into to get you the drop date for when that needs to be uploaded. It is next month. The date, the 14th, is in my head. I don't know if
April 14th is our next Senate meeting.
Okay, so let me get you a date and in the next couple minutes, if possible.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's going to probably pass today anyway. So they might need to have a conversation about making it the 15th.
So that's just when your Canvas templates will be available. So
okay.
That's what gets pushed.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So it sounds as if.
It sounds as if I'm about to make a motion that we table the minimum syllabus requirements.
So we have a motion on the floor. So parliamentarian, can he withdraw the motion?
I think
So we already have a motion.
Yes, but then I think that's what I'm moving is to table the
motion. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a motion to table. Plus the person who submitted is retracting it essentially until we get clarification. So do we have a motion to table it till we get clarification? I mean, we have a motion. Do I have a second? I got my faithful seconder over here. All in favor of tabling this until we get clarification? Please raise your hand. All right. You may lower your hand. Any opposed in tabling this until we get additional clarification?
What?
Okay. All right, the motion passes to table, and then we'll get clarification. And we'll also get answers to Senator Kolosinski about, can we put this on a website that we can link to and have it fixed? We'll get some clarification with that. Yeah, so what I was going to suggest, I was just going to say, if you have other discussion, those of you who raised your hands to discuss this, if we can have a committee of the whole, because we don't want to lose the comments and the thoughts in that too, which will be in very shortly. All right, so I think we're actually there.
Thank
So
you.
we had the code of conduct on there as an informational item and it didn't get attached as attachment, but I wanted to have it on there simply because if more people have looked at it, we've had a lot of feedback that I've passed on to Senator Rice as part of that committee that had come up with their own, the proposers, kind of like Julie Cooter and Dr. Orwer for this. So if you have additional feedback that you have not shared previously, if you would like to do that now, any concerns or questions and things like that, or not questions, but or I guess you can ask questions, but concerns that you had over it. All the feedback that has been raised thus far has been forwarded to the committee for their consideration. So they're working on implementing and the concerns and things that have been raised into a future draft that they will be proposing in the future. Senator Haney, did you have your hand up?
That was my question, Madam Speaker, is when are we going to see that feedback answer to questions? Thank you.
Sure, yes. And I don't expect that this will be a single iteration probably, because as we get the feedback, we may need to have another conversation, but we can see where we are. But again, if you have other questions or concerns, please email those to senate@tamu.edu. And you can see it on our previous agenda. If you want to look at under past agenda, if you don't have that link to hand, it's still there, but then you can look and see if you have additional questions. Encourage your colleagues to read it and see if they have questions or things that they would like to propose on that. All right, now I invite Speaker-elect Klein to take us into Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Speaker Price. Is there any discussion for Committee of the Whole? Senator Laporte.
Hi, I'm sorry. A few things. With regards to the minimum syllabus requirements, I actually agree with Adam Kolininski on the 3-click rule and the hyperlinks that exist. If we put hyperlinks into the minimum syllabus, then we're violating the 3-click rule. A couple of years ago, maybe I was on Academic Affairs, I looked at minimum syllabus requirements and how this was being serviced by other universities in Texas, specifically UT. UT made a conscious decision to select some sections of the syllabus to put online that were required by law, so that we weren't populating they weren't putting the entire syllabus with all this other. Now, my syllabus is now 9 pages long, right? And nobody reads it until I do my quiz. So they've decided just to put some sections that are required by law up onto the front page of TAMU to fulfill the SB 2504 law, and it's not everything. It's not everything in the syllabus, and it doesn't include all these other paragraphs that we're talking about. I also want to return to something David Bapst said about the names that are linked in this document that need to be changed when people move out or move out into positions. Title IX coordinator obviously hasn't changed in a while, but there are other names suggested in this revision that may change, like the ADA coordinator and a few others, and some names in Qatar and places like that. So they are my comments on the minimum syllabus thingy. Then I want to just talk about the email I got that said, the TAMU health resources has been updated. I thought, wonderful. I'm going to go to the website for it now and pull it up on my smartphone. And I wish I had smell-o-vision here so I could share it all with you. But I pulled up and it says, need help now? Great. Call, text, chat, 24/7, 365. We are here no matter your crisis or your need. And then no Aggie stands alone. And then you go down to a menu and it gives you a whole pile of blurb about no Aggie stands alone. I'm in crisis. Where do I go? Oh, there's a YouTube video on check out the fact that we're not alone. You know there are those around you. Everyone can make a difference. No one is alone. Support 24/7 standing by. Where do I friggin' go? Download the TELUS Health Student Support app. Okay, so where do I do that? So I go to another page. I'm showing it here. Take care of your mental health now. Go to the App Store and download the App Store. And then I'm going to go to student. Oh, and there's another video here to watch on student support and how wonderful it is. Oh, I'm going to go to the App Store now, and then I install it. And then I wait and I'm in crisis, right? And it's 81% installing now. I'm going to open it up and then I'm going to hit open and then I've got the website opening up and I'm going to get started for student support. Search for your school. Okay, so Texas A&M, I'm going to put it in. I'm having a crisis. I'm feeling like I'm really panicking here. And I'm going to hit it. And sorry, I don't find I spelled Texas wrong. Stupid idiot. Sorry, no matches found. And so you're getting my drift. I'm not going to keep going on, right? But and then the app isn't working and I want to speak to someone 24/7 and I link on a call and access student support anywhere, anytime, phone your phone number in your region. No results. What am I doing, right? This is crazy shit.
And our helpline, when you
It's
call,
gone.
I don't know if you can still call it, but when you call it, it tells you to download the app.
I'm like, this is crazy.
Or call
Okay, rant over, I'm sorry, but you know.
Okay, I think Wendy Greenwood had her hand up next.
Hi, this is Senator Wendy Greenwood from the College of Nursing. This was just a general comment about the simple syllabus. I wanted to let everybody know that our college was selected to actually be a beta tester of simple syllabus. We did all of our syllabuses for the entire spring for undergraduate and graduate. With the simple syllabus, it was actually pretty simple as it states. There were, as you can imagine, those frozen sections that had at least what had initially been determined as minimum syllabus requirements on there. And that actually, faculty found that very helpful. We all did and were able to identify that there had been a little bit of syllabus drift, as we mentioned, from some people using maybe some old iterations of syllabuses that they had hanging around. And I think we all finally, after a little bit of a learning curve, did come to the appreciation that it gave all of our syllabuses this consistency and a certain look. We did have the ability within our section where we're doing, whether you're doing modules or weeks and assignments, to go not as deep as you could maybe utilizing another program, but that we could build it out. Pretty much everybody found a good way to build out how they wanted their assignments. And I'm sure our colleagues in medicine and pharmacy have similar types of things where we have a lot of moving parts and a lot of different assignments. So we did find it fairly user friendly. And just in case you were wondering, I actually was somebody who then, after I published it, did have to make a minor change. I just went straight into it, made the change, and it notified all of my students that a change had been made. So that is another bonus. We did, however, I will say, I don't know if there is a plan of action for this in the future, but we did have to download a PDF to upload into Howdy at this time.
Thank you, Senator Greenwood. I think Senator Carpenter had his hand up a while ago, so I'm going to let him go next.
Howdy, Rob Carpenter, College of Medicine. I wanted to say that with regards to the prior conversation on the motion that has been now tabled, it probably is a great idea for us to wait for a month because we don't know exactly what's going to happen out of Washington, and if the moves with the Department of Education progress as it seems to be, a number of these points may shift significantly. However, what I really wanted to bring forward with regards to the Committee of the Whole is the following. I've heard from a number of individuals, both within Texas A&M, as faculty, as staff, and as students, and have now myself experienced significant negative repercussions to the unabated release and sale of alcohol at A&M athletic events. I can tell you that I was followed out of Olson Field this past Friday as a result of that. And I am not the only person that I know of and have heard subsequently from others who have had this happen with unruly fans who are intoxicated. I strongly suggest that the Faculty Senate needs to lean into the athletic department and to the president's office to find some way to address the excessive sale and use of alcohol within our athletic events. It's becoming an increasing problem, and it does not bear well with regards to the safety, security, enjoyment, and more particularly the name of Texas A&M University. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Senator Carpenter. So maybe some of the people who've been standing up can come to the mic now.
Sarah Meismer, PVFA Performance Visualization and Fine Arts.
And Francesca Marini, same college. So we've been hearing from some faculty on campus and some faculty in our college were concerned about the cancellation of Draggyland, which is an event that has been going on for a few years. The concern is about the impact of the cancellation on events that relate to teaching and research, and also the impact on academic freedom. Also, some of the students on campus are concerned about the repercussions on them, and also some of the things I heard is like students saying we're all Aggies, we love Texas A&M, we love the university, and they were feeling treated like a little differently, so like not treated with the same respect as other students. So just wanted to report concerns about the cancellation of Draggyland.
And I would echo, I think many of the concerns were coming from faculty on behalf of their students. So just adding that piece to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think Senator Falvo had her hand raised next.
Thank you. I will be very quick. I just have a request. The joint meeting with UT, I realize now that that was in person only. It was not communicated that it would be in person only, but it was assumed that we knew that it would be in person only. And I might be calling myself out here, but I did not realize that. And I know that a few of the other members of my caucus also didn't realize that. It is not, I realize that it has been that way pre-COVID, but it's been a while since pre-COVID. And I think maybe what we conceptualize as normal is not normal for everybody, especially when the years of a senator's term are 3 years, and that was more than 3 years ago. So I just really respectfully request that when formats are going to be different than normal, and now I understand normal is the joint hybrid in-person format, that it's communicated about that well ahead of time so that we can plan accordingly. That's all. Thank you.
Sorry if it was on me if I didn't convey that strongly enough. We thought if we would have it in person, we could have more in-depth conversations. And that was a decision that was made by the University of Texas, who their meetings are only in person of their faculty council at this point, I believe.
And I understand that might need to happen. I'm just asking for communication about that when that is the case. That's all.
We'll make sure that happens in the future. I think Senator Holliday had her hand raised next.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I am Senator Holliday from the College of Architecture. I am also on the search committee for the Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs. And I showed up a little late, so I don't know if this was announced, but we will be doing the in-person presentations this week. And tomorrow from 9:30 to 10:30 in Rudder 701, and there's a Zoom link. The forum and Q&A will be for Dr. Blanca Lupiani. And then on Thursday, March 20th, for Dr. David Carnes, will also be 9:30 to 10:30 in Rudder 701 and on Zoom for the forum and Q&A. So I just want to encourage faculty to attend for the search for the Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs. And you should have received an email. If not, let me know and I can forward mine. But I wanted to make that announcement.
Thank you, Senator Holliday, and I'm co-chairing as well. So if you have any questions, concerns, please address them to me. But yes, so please show up. It's either in Rudder 701 or via Zoom. So please.
And I apologize, Andrew, if you'd already announced it. I apologize.
No, I had not. So I thank you for doing that. Senator Potter.
Henry Potter, College of Arts and Sciences. I just wanted to raise some concerns that were shared with me from people within my department about their dental insurance. Apparently, they have been repeatedly dropped by their dentists in College Station who are no longer accepting their insurance. And they've had to hop from dentist to dentist, and they're finding it increasingly difficult to find dentists in the area who are accepting the insurance they get through Texas A&M.
Thank you, Senator Potter. It's been an ongoing issue. Thank you for raising it again. Are there any more things for Committee of the Whole?
Howdy, Frank Satilli, College of Arts and Sciences. I was traveling last week and I spent some time with the president of the American Math Society, who's been spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C. lobbying, talking to congressional aides. And some of the things I learned from him are from his experience there, but also things that are well known. Like, for instance, there's a planned 2/3 cut in the NSF budget by the current administration. And people in my department don't know that. But also Ravi, in talking with congressional aides, got the impression that things are going to go forward with these plans. There doesn't seem to be much. He found very little support for continuing support of science and grants, and talking to congressional aides from the Republicans. I think people should be aware of this. This will mean cancellation of existing grants. It'll mean people will lose their jobs, graduate students will lose their jobs, and I think our faculty needs to be aware there's a good chance of this happening. I don't think people are fully aware of this. Everybody knows, there's a deluge coming, but think about what that means next autumn.
Thank you, Frank. I think a lot of us share those concerns.
Yeah. What's particular is what Ravi told me from talking to congressional aides, is that this is not just a plan. There's no pushback against it, in his opinion.
Provost Sams, do you wish to have any comments? Okay. I guess I will go with, you could go.
Dale Rice, Arts and Sciences. A couple of things. I think those of us on legislative affairs may be more aware than others of bills that have been filed in the Texas legislature that would, in essence, shall I say, impact shared governance as we know it, and would likely no longer be recognizable as shared governance. And so I think that it is worth people taking a look at House Bill 4499 or Senate Bill 37 that does major changes to faculty senates, including what I think are a couple of very important things, because number one, it disenfranchises half the faculty. Only tenured faculty could serve on faculty senates, and only half the Senate would be elected. The other half would be appointed by the president, and the president of the university would appoint all of the officers of the faculty senate. So I think it's important for people to be aware of what is happening out there.
If I could just add a few things, Senator Rice. So the other thing is you would be allowed to serve on the Senate 1 year, and then you would be off for 4 years. So basically any continuity of the body would be ended. And the bill does a few other things, and it would have severe implications for our general education as well. So again, you should read the bill, and I think Speaker Rice, if you could give her, Speaker Rice, pardon me, current Speaker Angie Hill Price would like feedback today if possible.
Or tomorrow.
Senator Babst.
If I can just add another item in the Senate Bill 37 is that the governing board, the Board of Regents, would have to approve all advertising of tenure track positions outside of STEM disciplines. Anyway, I was actually asking if there was any update on procedures for GA 48. In particular, some of us noted that in a system policy that came out a few weeks ago, 15.05.04, it explicitly lists that employees that are doing personal travel to a country of concern, as listed by GA 48, will be doing it through Workday. And I was curious if that was true, we were gonna be doing with respect to GA 48? Or if you didn't even know that that was in the system policy, or what? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Dale,
Senator.
Dale Rice, Arts and Sciences. I can respond a little bit because I am the faculty senate representative on the GA 48 committee. We had our first meeting. We really recognize the significant issues that people are facing, both on the research side and on the personal side of this. And there are 7 subcommittees that are going to be hard at work in the next few weeks on these very issues, sorting out things like how various things will be reported, because in fact, we do have a certain dichotomy there. Some stuff is personal, not part of your work and research. So I think a lot of those issues are now going to, we'll come back with a lot of recommendations for how the university will handle it. And I would say that if any one here has concerns, please let me know, because I will make sure that those concerns make it to the various subcommittees. We had a very good conversation in our first meeting about the intense anxiety that many people are feeling right now over either the potential limitations on their research or the potential concerns with their personal travel. And so it really is recognized.
Thank you, Dale. I just would like to add that one issue that me and some colleagues noted is that some graduate students aren't listed in Workday because they may not be employees of a type that are listed in Workday. And so if those graduate students are required to report their personal travel to Workday, then that would require them to be then put into Workday in order to report the personal travel through Workday. Just an issue for you guys to think about.
Thank you.
No problem.
Is there anything else for Committee of the Whole? If not, I will turn the meeting over to Speaker Price.
Thank you, Speaker-elect Klein. So yes, do please read the House Bill 4499 or Senate Bill 37, and please share thoughts with me on the impact to the university, to our students, the cost associated with these, because there would be an impact to the taxpayer potentially through them. So it's discussions that many people are emailing me already with this information. So I invite all of you to share your thoughts on that. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded, all in favor, please rise. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.